This is Drop and Drop by the weekly podcast where a mix of gamers come together to talk all about video games. I'm your host, Patrick. Joining me today, the homie Jake Twitchin, because we are reviewing Lumines Arise. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing so well. So hyped to talk about this with you.
My only regret is that we didn't cosplay as the chameleons, the iguanas, whatever those are,
God.
the lizards.
That would have been absolute nightmare fuel. We would have had to paint our bodies.
I would have. It wouldn't be the fourth time you've painted your body for content.
Actually exactly correct. It would be my fourth time.
Yeah. Jake, we're here, as I said, to review Lumines Arise, a franchise that I have dabbled very little in before this game. Tell me about your history with Lumines before Arise has come to play.
My brain is a little foggy these days in my old age, but I'm pretty sure Lumines was, if not a launch title, released within its first year of the PSP. And I was a little PSP sicko. I was a big handheld gaming guy during those years, and PSP and like that DS era were really, really strong for me. And there were two games on the PSP that got a lot of replay out of me. There was a game called Lumines, and there was a game called I think it's called like Mercury or something like that, where you play as this little puddle and you kind of like guide it around. I want to say there's a man's name. It's like
Yep.
Is it Mercury?
Archer McLean's Mercury.
Archer McLean's Mercury, and then there's a Mercury too that I believe drops the name Archer McLean. I bet no one was excited. Nobody here thought that there was going to be a Mercury drop here at the beginning of the Lumines podcast, but here we are. Oh, also, Lumines Arise codes provided by the absolute gems over there behind the game. Enhance, True Legends coming through with a pair for us. Got to play a little bit online. Had these codes for a couple of weeks, which is nice. We're recording this ahead of embargo. What a time to be alive. Drop in, drop out. Really doing good things.
Yeah, if you're coming across this podcast and this is the first time you've ever heard of Drop In, Drop Out, we're a little podcast network. We do all sorts of shows. We have a news show. We have a video game book club. And then we have our flagship show where we review games, talk about games, all sorts of things about video games. We stream. We do all sorts of things. And this is, we're starting to get more embargo codes, which is very exciting, Jake. And to that, I say thank you to the developers at Enhance. Did they buy my opinion by giving me a code? Maybe. No, they didn't. I'm just kidding. I'm a completely not evergreen. I'm a completely green Lumines player. I came in really with like very little knowledge about the franchise. I've dabbled before. So this was, as someone who loved Tetris Effect, I was very excited to get into Lumines for the first time in a real way. But yeah, Jake, what am I missing before we jump into our thoughts?
What about the other two big enhanced titles? Have you played Humanity or Res Infinite?
I've dabbled in Res Infinite. That was one of those like PS Plus games at some point. But then also I had a PSVR 1 that I never played enough to justify how much money I spent on it. But mostly what I played... I know, right? But mostly what I played in PSVR was Tetris Effect, but I did play a little bit of Res Infinite in VR at some point. But Res Infinite didn't really do much for me. I think it was just like, wrong place, wrong time type situation. Sure. But Tetris Effect, I mean, is there a cleaner 10 of a video game than Tetris Effect? I don't know.
It's the purest. It's the best. Well, we'll talk about it, but I was going to say it might be the best puzzle game of all time. But perhaps there's another contender, one could say.
Perhaps.
And the Enhanced team has been really good to me in particular. And I feel like, listen, I don't have the details on how I got into this program. I think I filled out an application and I sent like a cold called email and I reached out and I was like, hey, the Enhanced team pops into my chat all the time. I was wondering if you guys would hook it up with a code so I can get ahead of the game this time. Because I remember the morning that Humanity dropped, I met like 3 different team members who came in and they were so cool in chat. And we talked multiple times throughout my playthrough of Humanity. Just one of the cooler, smaller teams that have ever come across the channel and talked shop with me, which is very rad. And then once again, a lot of those familiar faces and a couple new ones popped in when I was playing the Lumines Arise demo. And I was like, what's up with the early coffee? And I think someone was like, we got you on the distribution list already. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna send an email and make sure. And hey, they came through for me.
They came through.
Incredible. And remind me that I pitched something. We should put it at towards the end of the show, not the beginning of the show.
Okay. I'll try my best to remind you.
Yeah.
Jake, high level thoughts. What do you think about Lumines Arise? If you're willing to give it a score so far, how long have you played it? The basics that we always do with our review conversations.
For sure. I am going to give it a premature score because I only got about halfway through. I wanted to preserve some of my Lumines playthrough for stream. I'm a streamer before I'm a reviewer. But I did want to dabble in here early so that I could give an informed, discussion to the people. Even though, I only played through half of the content that's available, I feel like I have a gist of 90% of this game. The only thing that I'm kind of waiting to see is some of those last songs and designs and things like that, which is truly some of the more exciting stuff in the game. But right off jump, this game is a masterpiece. Like if it's not a 10, then it's a 9.75. So I'm throwing a 10 on this thing. Much like Tetris Effect, or Tetris Effect Connected, this thing is as beautiful and as sound and as technically masterful as a puzzle game can be. It is perfect. Yeah. Where are you at?
I'm pretty close to you. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, I don't quite speak the language of Lumines yet. So I played a little bit of Lumines on the Vita, rest in peace to the PlayStation Vita. And I remember really wanting to get into Lumines on the Vita, but I didn't play it enough to ever understand, even with the tutorial, what my goal was with Lumines. I understood it was in the same conversation as Tetris, but obviously a very different mechanic. And that was kind of it, because I've always really liked Tetris. And it wasn't until Tetris Effect that I became a Tetris lover, where Tetris 99 on the Switch, I was so into when that dropped, played it kind of religiously for a while. And then, the Tetris Effect in VR, whenever I had that and people would come over and they hadn't really ever tried a VR before, I was like, do you know how to play Tetris? And they were like, I had it on the Game Boy 20 years ago or whatever. I was like, okay, no, great. That's all you need. Put it on, play. I would usually take them to either the New York Tickling the Ivories level, or something some of my favorite levels in that game to show them how cool VR was. And so I was really excited when I learned that team was making a version of Lumines, because oh, what a great entry point for me as someone who loved Tetris Effect so much and has been wanting Lumines. I maybe 3 months ago, you streamed playing with a Vita, and I was like, you know what? My Vita is up in that. Let's see, where's my arm? It's up in that closet up there. I was like, let me charge it. And I had Lumines on there, and I was bopping around. I played a little bit of some Guacamelee, I think. But by that point, we knew about Lumines Rise. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait, really dig in once this comes out. And so far, I've played about 5 hours. I'm pretty close to finishing the journey, which is the single player, campaign, as it were. It's just a collection of levels, and it took me about half of that time to understand it enough to be able to have fun and not be oh, I understand I'm supposed to be making boxes, and if I can make a 3x3 or a 4x4, that's even better. But there was just so much about the language of Lumines that I didn't speak that was making it a little frustrating. But on Sunday, so yesterday as of recording, I was playing it for about an hour and a half, and it 45 minutes in, it started to click for me. And I was like, oh, this fucking game. There's still a lot that I have to learn, but this is a fucking phenomenal video game. I think I would probably land at a 9.5 right now, but I think that's probably because of my own baggage with the franchise and with the game of Lumines, not fully understanding the different patterns and things like that. But just looking at it as how the game has been built, I'm so impressed with this game. And there's a little bit of that magic not there anymore from Tetris Effect, only because it's now a known quantity as opposed to a surprise, fresh thing. But that only takes off the littlest bit for me, where I can't wait to play more of this game. So yeah, I'm giving it a solid 9.5 with room to go up. I don't think there's room to go down for me.
100%. And it's interesting. I haven't really thought of it like that because I am so gluttonous in like give me more of a good thing. Like I never think about like, oh well, I guess the magic of Tetris is sort of ate Luminous's lunch here a little bit, which I can see that being the case of like, oh well, yeah, well let's do into the Tetris connected thing, only with Luminous this time, which is true, and that's exactly what it is. But oh my god, was I ready for that? Being a long time Luminous fan, this is just such a treat to get this treatment. And I guess, dude, I don't know where they go from here as far as like they did their Tetris thing. Luminous is the closest you can get to Tetris. I fear it's Meteos time. You a Meteos guy?
I am not a Meteos guy. I'm a knower, but I don't think I've ever played.
You gotta lock in for Meteos. Meteos connected Arise effect.
Do you think what if they make their own new game? Like a new idea?
That is so fucking hard to do, I think. Like,
oh, sure. Oh, yeah. So much harder said than
I don't know.
Easier said than
Yeah. I just don't know. Yeah, I can imagine that must be like one of the most... You hear that out loud, and you're like, oh, that would be so easy. Why don't you just make a different puzzle game? And I wonder if that's like actually the hardest thing in video games to do. Like you have like Tetris. You have Tetris and you have Snood, and then everything after that fails to iterate upon itself.
Yeah, maybe there's like a way that you can merge these two games in a way more than Luminous already does. Where like there's already a good bit of Tetris in Luminous, but maybe there's a way we can. I mean, maybe you add more than just squares in Luminous. Maybe we get some.
We could go Puyo Puyo, I suppose.
Yeah.
Could be good. And I mean Tetris Puyo Puyo, they got those games, those spin-offs. Maybe we can do a Tetris Luminous thing. There's something there. I'm excited to see what that team does next.
What about Suika Arise?
Oh my, don't get me started on Suika. By the way, November 10th with a 2025 slate for Suika Planet or whatever, Suika Spear. What is the Suika spin-off supposed to be called?
What is that game called?
Who could tell? But no release date.
Game.
Come on, man. I need that good stuff.
Suika Game 2. Easy as that. Suika Game Planet.
No, it's got Suika Planet. Yeah. Very cool. But yeah, I can't see it beating this. That's for sure.
No, of course not.
I want to rattle off some of my favorite themes in this. Well, no, that's maybe jumping the gun. I want to talk to you a little bit about journey mode, and then I want to talk about the multiplayer thing, because right before this, we hopped on and tried multiplayer for the first time.
Yeah.
But you touched on your time with journey mode. Did you have any like highlights from it? Any maps in particular? Any transitions that you saw that really blew your fucking mind?
Sure. It's funny. It sounds so stupid to be like, I don't want to spoil a puzzle map, but like there is something about the parts of this game where it's like, the like going from one thing to the next. Here's what I will say though. There have been a couple that have been tough for me, and that I think is also part of that 9-5 of not quite 10. Like there's one later in the game, as an example, that isn't like, it's not actually really a spoiler, but there's one that's like a train motif. Have you gotten to the train one yet?
I haven't gotten the train one.
And it's one of those things where like there's the mixture of the two symbols that they choose as the two things. It's like a train light and like a train wheel, if I'm not mistaken. And then the background is like a train station, but like an outdoor train station. And there's some times with the game where that mix of those three pieces, so the two different puzzle pieces in the background, where it's like, it's really hard to see the different, like what I'm supposed to be doing kind of thing. So that has been a little tough, but there have been certain maps where even though there's one we played in multiplayer, is like fruit and vegetables, that it's like, it's like kind of hard, but once you can see the difference in them and you understand, it's like, okay, there's peppers, there's broccoli, and then like it changes, and like it's two other fruits and vegetables, whatever, and it's like, oh, this is fucking amazing. Like it's so like different compared to what a a ball of water and a star or whatever. There's so many fun combinations in this game that
for sure.
take it somehow a step further than it just being like two objects, but like then they start almost like coalescing they morph, which is very fun.
They morph, or they like transition from one thing into another. There's a really nice early level that we actually ended up running into when we played our multiplayer session, where it's vegetables and the vegetable itself changes. So it's always kind of like green and red, but it goes from like broccoli to like a cabbage, and from a tomato to like a pepper or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like in general, this is a great time to bring up that this game kind of takes the Tetris effect recipe and accelerates it, brings it to that next level of like, they kind of go further with these crazy themes where Tetris Effect, like you have some different like, you know, effects and colors and things happening in the background and sounds happening. Whereas in this one, the objects in the backgrounds get fucking crazy in comparison. Like, one of my favorite things in the world is this game still does what Lumines has always done, which I think is great, is Lumines has always sort of played like a playlist of music, right? So you're trying to clear your squares and you're playing along with the beat. And then as you go from one song to the next, or you solve that puzzle, if you will, your board carries over and you continue on to the next one. And that's the same in this one too, only each time in between the boards, there's like this transition that happens, and every transition is like the most exciting and glorious thing to get. And even though it's only a couple seconds long, the way that you have your little character, the Lumipon, I looked at the Lumi, which is so good. And then Lumipon, which is how you get your, like, it's a gacha mechanic, like a gachapon. Lumipon is how you customize your character. You get points for it. Oh my God, the multiplayer aspect of this is so rad. But
it's so good.
You have those effects from the pieces, the effects from the background, the crazy sounds, your actual player character, the Lumi, they all like interact and sort of like explode off the screen or do some crazy sort of transition into the next map or the next theme. And it's just always so satisfying, man. It's so good.
I agree. I also think that something that they've stepped up to is the individual pieces, the animations of those. So like there's one, to actually answer your question that you asked, like a standout one, there's one that's like spider webs, where one of the pieces is a spider web and the other piece, I'm not sure what it is, but it's not just another web, but it's the kind of thing where like as you are dropping the white web ball, it's just like the animation of it, it's like it sounds so like stupid, but it has like gravity, and it has like it reacts to the like what it's hitting, and it just looks really cool, where like once you build a 4 square spiderweb ball, then it like the web is just kind of going all over the place, and then you get you a 3x3 and it's like kind of getting even bigger and wilder, and it's just like really it has that brain scratch as you're playing it of like, not only do I want to just put together these cubes to score points and not lose, but it's really satisfying to see it. And one thing though, actually a question for you, something that I was very prevalent in Tetris Effect that I haven't noticed as much in Arise, but it might just be that I'm more used to it now, is the on the remote, if I'm pressing X or square or circle or whatever to move it. There were a lot of maps in Tetris Effect where, like, I think of the one that I mentioned, the New York City, like, jazzy piano thing, where every time you would move the Tetris piece, it would like be the music, like that kind of thing. So the more you're pressing the buttons would affect the music. Is that happening in Lumines Arise and I haven't noticed, or is it not as prevalent in this one? Okay.
I don't think so. I think that I feel like there is like a little ting, 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 like the luminous sound that's always existed, but I don't think that's as like pronounced or customized, because I know what you're thinking. Like I'd think of like the water one, and you would press it would be like a fucking dolphin squeal or something like that.
Right. And like whenever you would drop the Tetris, or like the one where it's like the chanting around the fire, every time the piece would hit the ground in Tetris Effect, they'd be like, whoa, and whoa, like every time. So, and I haven't noticed any of those, but it also might be that I'm just like, for lack of a better term, numb to it, where like I experienced it so much in Tetris Effect that I'm not noticing it here. I wasn't sure if that was a me thing or a game thing.
I think that maybe what's happening, and the reason why it's not like as pronounced, is that like in Tetris, your action is dictated by your own timing, or I guess the result is dictated by your own action. So when you slam down your Tetris, it's because you commanded that Tetris to take place. Whereas this game, it's a game of prepping for an action that is going to take place on a static timeline, right?
Sure.
Because
no, that
like
tracks. That
line is like freezing its way across the screen. So I think that's might be the big difference there as far as why, because there are still those moments where the music will do the same thing. Like you start out and it might be even close to silent when you start a Lumines Arise map for the first time or a song.
Yeah.
And it does that same musical progression thing where as you get to a certain point, you've cleared, 20, 40 boxes. It will kind of like swipe over. You'll clear those last 3 boxes that you have for that round. And then all of a sudden you'll have that big woo, and then the music will transition. Even the visuals will change and everything kind of goes to like that next level and layers on some extra stuff, which is incredibly satisfying and just very cool to see play out.
I think one thing that this game does a lot better than Tetris Effect is that like the max power boost thing, where when you press the trigger to use your special, and as long as you don't fuck it up, when it's like it just gets rid of every other color in your area to where all of a sudden now your square is 15 by 15, and it's just like it's so satisfying to have a board that's just fucked, but you just have enough wiggle room there to get the bonus going, and then you just like basically get to start from scratch because you just like wipe the board in the most satisfying way. That was what happened on my run yesterday. Was like, okay, I'm starting to understand. I need to really be leaning into the turbo of it all. I need to be like not always trying to plan 5 moves ahead, and more so like kind of surviving until I build up the boost to then take a huge chunk of the board away. And it's like that's that like language I'm starting to learn with the game. And it's like I think this game for me is going to have major legs the more I understand how the puzzle works. And it's just like, okay, now because I've been doing journey mode on easy and still losing from time to time. Where it's like with Tetris Effect, I never would have lost on easy just because I understand Tetris well. And so now it's like I can't wait to go fucking to medium, get even better, and then go to hard. I can't imagine hard Luminous. That sounds fucking crazy to me.
I know. With how difficult it is off jump. Some inside baseball stuff and maybe some more like, I guess, waxing poetic about like the culture of like reviewing things ahead of time as well. This was a really nice change up for me. There's 2 things I want to touch on here. One of them is the specific experience, and one of them is like the, I guess, future experience that we could have with games in the future. But I have never had the opportunity to have somebody else playing the same game as me ahead of embargo. It is really nice to be able to reach out to you and be like, how far are you? Are you digging it? Like we're in that exclusive club that you hear, if you're in our bubble, I guess, of like, game reviews and independent games media. Essentially, you hear about those conversations that take place ahead of time, sometimes behind the scenes of where what happens if you get stuck. And like the answer is like, hopefully you know somebody else that's playing. And if you're like us who are just dabbling, you don't really have anybody. So I hope that as we continue to grow, that we can get into some of those bubbles so that we can, text another outlet who's also playing God of War 3.
I know. Get me in a Discord, man. A review embargo Discord. That'd be so fun.
Sure. Like, hey, are you playing wink, wink, nudge, nudge? And they're like, if you're talking about this wink, wink, nudge, nudge, then yes. It's like, okay, well, on level 3, how the fuck? But it was a pleasure to have you along for the ride so that we could go back and forth on it. But the reason that this all comes to mind is we talked about like Luminous strategy, because at the beginning, especially where you were like, I'm struggling to put it all together to get these lines to connect, if you will, connected. Did you end up checking out the in-game support for that, the training mode?
No, I kept meaning to, but I was being stubborn and just trying to figure it out myself.
So fucking good. It might be the best tutorials. It might be the best tutorials that I've ever seen in the game. If you're looking at this game and you're thinking, Luminous seems very complicated, I'm not positive that this is going to be a fit for me. There's too much going on here. I don't know if I'll be able to learn it. My thought, for some reason, I'm so 2025 pilled. I was like, I just need to Google like a Luminous strategy, and someone who did like Remastered 5 years ago can give me some tips on this. those tips exist in the game. There are like 80 levels, and it brings you through these like scenarios that are almost puzzles themselves, where the reason that I found it was when I was going through, we have to talk about this Lumipon system and the online stuff because we referenced it twice and people have no context for it, which is a bad job on my part. However, I was looking of like how to get more points and like my daily challenges and stuff. And they were like complete training missions 1 through 3 to get 300 points. And I was like, well, motherfucker, that sounds like a easy way to get 300 points that could get me a new skin for my sweet little boy. It was indeed a sweet way, but the way that it's set up is it teaches you strategy and concepts and then asks you to execute them in oh man, I had a good example of like another game that does this, but basically they're like predetermined puzzle scenarios. So they'll ask you, they'll be like, create 2 2x2 squares, and they'll give you a couple pieces that are on the board and then unlimited time to rotate the 2 pieces that you have to drop in order to kind of figure out how to drop them. So they're like hyper specific scenarios that only have a single solution more often than not, and you have to kind of like trial and error your way through the mental geometry to make those pieces fall into the right sections. And it goes from like very simple to incredibly difficult, and each like brain teaser, like by the time you're over at like training module 13, it's asking you to make like 6 2x2 things, and you look at the board and you're like, Jesus, that's not fucking possible. Yeah, it is really, really satisfying. So I think in a game that can be a little bit daunting and complicated, they've done a great job of creating like an onboarding scenario there too.
It kind of reminds me of, do you remember like in the mid to late aughts when sports games were trying to have more than just play against your friend? And it'd be like, replay the best moments in football history.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're Peyton Manning on the 7-yard line and you can only do one throw to win the Super Bowl. It feels like that to me, of like giving you tiny missions in a very small thing, but also as a way to like kind of teach you, this is a great way, like you have this in your back pocket for later, of like this kind of move or trick or whatever. I got to do that like once we're done here, because it's been like my biggest hurdle. It's like I want to devour this game, and then I get into these scenarios where I'm like, I know this is an understanding problem only because I've not played a Luminous before, and I bet that would solve all of that problem for me. But hearing you describe it.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And you're exactly correct. I just played NFL Street on the PS2, and like a great example of that is like you'll go in, instead of just doing match after match after match for your season, they'll be like complete a drive with only running plays. And that's exactly the kind of thing. Like, how do we spice this up a little bit? And those kind of like predetermined puzzles are absolutely the answer, which is very cool.
As long as you got Ricky Williams in your backfield, easy.
So true. Dolphins, right?
At the time, I think either Dolphins or Saints, depending on.
I feel like I remember him doing drugs and it being a thing, and he was out of the NFL, and then he was back in the NFL.
He smoked some pot, and that was a time when smoking pot was essentially like murdering your wife.
Right? Schedule.
It kind of still is in the NFL, but you know, that was one of those things. Like, he was so fucking good, unbelievable runner, and then he just got blackballed by just lighten up a little bit, let the guy live.
Partying. Yeah, sorry for partying.
I had a New Orleans Saints Ricky Williams jersey, number 34, for a long time. Yeah, I used to be such a sports boy.
I got a question for you. You think I've ever owned a sports jersey?
I think you have.
Yeah,
and I think part of me thinks it would be a Patriots jersey.
It was not a Patriots jersey.
Celtics.
It was nope. It was around 2000. 6, 7, 8. I want to say it was a football jersey.
Kobe. Oh, it was a football
jersey.
6. Was it Mike Vick?
No, but you're on the right track. Kind of a controversial person. Was on the cover of an NFL game, but was not wearing the same team's jersey.
Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush jersey would be so.
Terrell
Owens. NFL 2K5 for
2K5 when he was playing for the Eagles, I think. And when he went to the Cowboys, I was like, I gotta get a TO Cowboys jersey, dude. That shit's too hot. And
That's so funny. Terrell Owens could ball.
Oh my God, one of the best. One of the best.
That's so funny that you had a Terrell Owens jersey.
Do you remember the fucking? Do you remember the ads for NFL 2K5? Yo, this is T.O.
I do. Wow. I had blocked those out. That's so funny. Man, not to make this a podcast about the 2K5 sports games, but getting 3 of those for $60 instead of
my god,
Madden for 50 or whatever. Oh my god.
First person football. I was out here pimping out my house, getting cars and whatnot.
Oh my god, dude. I played so much NFL, NBA, and NHL 2K5. Martin St. Louis on the fucking Tampa Bay Lightning, I think, was on the cover of that one.
Crazy. And now
Maybe.
The only 2K that is made, I think, is basketball.
There's been rumors that maybe 2K is trying to get into sports again. Otherwise,
there's weird stuff with like sports where I think like the only place that has exclusivity these days is Madden with their NFL deal. But like, I'm pretty sure anybody can make a baseball game still. Or for a while they could. They might have re-signed with the show, but there was a large amount of time where in the last like 10 years, the show has been the only baseball game for a period of time when they didn't need to be the only baseball game. It's just nobody could really do it better. I heard it. There was an interview with Shuhei Yoshida when he was doing the rounds like 3 or 4 months ago, kind of after he did that big, like stepping away from Sony and starting up his consulting company to sort of make it happen. And he talked about how like the show is such a hyper specific thing just because it wasn't exclusive, but they ended up just being the bosses of making baseball games and no one could touch them. Everyone's just started falling off.
Well, I remember at one point the MLB was like, you have to put this on Xbox. This can't be only on PlayStation anymore. But I didn't know that other people could have been making baseball games this whole time.
I think not currently. I'm pretty sure they re-signed something very recently when they started bringing them to Xbox, because that was definitely the fact that that's on Game Pass means that Sony didn't sign that deal. That was like an MLB, whatever the publisher is.
Yeah, that's just so fascinating to me. The like rights deals and shit. It's so like red tapey and like, what do you mean I can't get fucking? I mean, now that's a bad example because GoldenEye finally was re-released, but there are just so many things just like caught up in licensing hell that it's like, but no, I just want to play Burnout 3 again. What do you mean,
dude? Yeah, that's definitely another podcast, but yeah, it's really, really bad that like so many beloved games are stuck. Even ones where IP is like not disputed or anything like that. Like, why do we not have like Breck 2 remastered or Over the Hedge like available on digital platforms?
Over the Hedge.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Over the Hedge game rules.
We need to have, before we get back on topic, we need to have a licensed game spin-off of some kind, of like streaming licensed game. I know you do this a lot on your own channel, but like having a show around it of like,
I know,
podcasting while we play Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire or whatever, like that kind of shit would be very fun.
We have to play Beowulf the game where the second mission is save the virgins.
We're talking the Beowulf that was like weirdly animated, but not.
Yeah, the Angelina Jolie vehicle from 2000.
Wow,
8, 7,
something like that.
Something like that.
Lumines Arise is very smart in that I don't know if they've licensed this music, but it sounds like a lot of the music is created for the game.
Yes. So this entire soundtrack is Hydelic. I think it performed by, curated by, created by, I don't know all the intricacies, but basically the same people heavily involved in Tetris Effect Connected. And for me, when I think of Tetris Effect, I can't think about anything but like, and the question for me was like, is there going to be a song that anchors that as well? And this question was sort of answered for me back when the demo dropped and the original trailer dropped, and they put out a subsequent trailer maybe like a month or two ago that featured that song really heavily and like kind of like a more upbeat version of it that definitely plays off of like pulls at the heartstrings of anybody who liked that Tetris Effect music for sure. But the banger that is playing in the beginning of Lumines Arise level 1, touching skin to
Skin to
skin.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that because I had played my first session, I don't know, like a week ago, and that's just how my brain works. But then yesterday I got into the multiplayer lobby and I was just running around looking at all the different multiplayer stuff, and that song is just screaming into my ears. And it was like 8 hours later, I was cooking, and then we watched Pluribus on Apple TV. What a fucking show.
10 out of 10.
And it's just like, just bored its way into the front of my skull, like da, 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 da. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's really, really strong.
Multiplayer. We've danced around multiplayer a little bit.
Sure.
For if this isn't your first time listening to Drop In, Drop Out, and you know anything about me and the kinds of games I like, I am very not interested in multiplayer stuff. Like, for the most part, I only play single player. Multiplayer just like doesn't scratch an itch in my brain. Like, for me, when I'm playing a video game, it's kind of like my time to shut out the world. I don't want to talk to people. I want to be just like doing my 94th run of Hades 2 to do like the 3 things I've not done yet in that game. But you and I played 2 rounds of Lumines Arise multiplayer right before this, and I think I maybe like that more than Journey mode. It was so fun.
Dude, it's really good. And I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet, but anyone that keeps up with my stuff for the last, like, at this point, we're pushing like 4 to 6 months. I have been on what I would call a Tetris 99 journey.
No pun.
No fun. I've been playing a lot of Tetris 99, and it's been very fun trying to get into that. And it honestly, it spawned off of playing Tetris Effect Connected like 6 months ago, getting a replay and playing it start to finish on stream, and then wanting more. So I've been playing pretty competitively Tetris 99 and really enjoying my time with that. And
have you gotten a win yet?
No. Dude, listen, I'm going to defend myself
Fly
a little bit.
Fly me up there.
Well, you want to fucking take the sticks, baby?
Yeah.
Listen, the only people that are left playing Tetris 99 here 5 years after its launch are the best people in the world that ever played Tetris.
No, you're probably the 13 wins that I got in Tetris 99 all happened at launch. So it's a fair point.
Yeah, playing Tetris 99 competitively in 2025 is like playing chess, but you're only playing against like the 98 people that are the best in the world at chess and you've never played before. So it's trial by fire over there. But one of the things that I've gotten really accustomed to is I stream, and I like the beginning of the stream or at the end of the stream, we usually do like a half hour of Tetris 99, and I just be yapping, talking to chat, reading things, multitasking. And when I was playing,
I'm sure it's very difficult to play Tetris 99 while.
That's also true. But in Lumines, the single player mode is very like trancy. It has me in this state where I'm just like not really interested in multitasking. I found myself like the music and the visuals and the gameplay are all doing enough for me to keep me so interested that I don't have my second screen experience going on like when I'm playing something else, which is unusual for me. I usually am a guy that has a podcast on the left and a Twitch stream muted on the right, lurking a friend or something like that. Whereas with like
the hub up top.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, on the little monitor. This is like lights down, other monitors off, like dark room, completely sunk into this. It wasn't until the multiplayer mode with you, when you and I were like chopping it up, just kind of talking and throwing shots back and forth while we played multiplayer, that I realized how fun it is to just play Lumines a little bit competitively. And I was like, ooh, fuck, this might be something that really sticks like online and on stream after the fact. I want to talk a little bit about format. So can you explain, will you explain to the people like the lobby system? Like, it's not really a lobby as much as it is like, I guess it is.
Yeah, it's like you go into this. So in the main menu, you can do journey mode, like front and center. There's like settings and things like that. But then in the multiplayer area, you click it from the main menu, and your little Lumipon, your little character, is dropped into this space. And there's these like pillars all around. There's like these 2 faces facing each other. That is to go battle somebody. There's like where you can go like shop for your Lumipon's like aesthetics and things like that. But you can also just like run around and see other people in the lobby and like look at their play history and see like I was because we've been playing in this embargo period, we've gotten to see like people in the industry that we've been following for years now, and it's like, oh, I click on Game Over Greggy's profile and I see I'm comparing his to mine, and it's like he scored like 400,000 points on a level and my high score is like 65. I'm like, oh shit, I got some learning to do. But it's this very like, it really took that like Tetris effect connected to another level, I think, of like with this, you can actually like run around and see other people are running around at the same time. People are like grouping up and dancing together and doing like it's a very like cool little lobby that I really vibe with. And I'm assuming that if I go up to a character, I can then like play with them too. We didn't in ours, we had to do it as like a custom game, but I would assume that is a something how this lobby would work. But what am I missing? Are there other things in the lobby that I didn't touch on?
No, that's pretty much it. There's just like for some reason it's a very this has happened a lot with like fighting games recently. I think about like Guilty Gear Strive has a really fun lobby system where it's not just like a menu and you're waiting for the next game. There's like an interactivity to it where you're running around. And I think this game is a great example of presentation just being so key here. And like you said, when you click on multiplayer, you go from like this main menu that has like 4 or 5 options to your little like so the way that you sort of like control the menu is you just move your little Lumi around and you select which one. And when you click on multiplayer, he kind of drops into that hub, and the hub kind of feels like a I don't know, surrealistic Neo Tokyo. I don't know how to even describe it, but with all of the people that are running around, there's a couple things that you can do, and one of them is like, did you ever like ascend into the sky?
I saw it was like press R1 to fly away, and I'm realizing now I never pressed it. I kept meaning to, but then I kept getting like taken to other places, and
it's a double tap, and you can kind of like swing up to the sky and move your camera around, and it's like all of this stuff that doesn't need to exist, but it does, and it's so fun to engage with. And as soon as you choose your thing, whether you go like to the left and you're doing like a score attack type of thing, or to a right to find a custom game or an open lobby, or to the middle to do like your Lumipon gotcha pulls and whatnot, you sort of have this like little whimsical adventure on your way, and you see who else is there, and you can see other people's customized character and what they've unlocked, and like you were saying, all the stats and stuff like that. And yeah, we saw Game Over Gray, friend of the show, Wario 64, friend of the show, Skill Up, friend of the show. These people have no idea who we are. But so cool.
Greg does.
That's true. By proxy, kind of. See, I know Jerica. Jerica knows Greg. Greg knows everybody.
That's true. I've spoken to the man. I've met the man. But this isn't a show about who we know.
That's so true, or who we barely know.
Right.
But
exactly.
That's like a little bit of like, that's just like a dumb inside baseball thing once again of like reviews and being kind of ahead of the curve and not really having access to that for the entirety of our gaming journalism careers, if you will. But now having those opportunities and bumping into those people is so much fun. But yeah, once we were in there playing against each other, did we talk about format of like our battle? It was like a first best of 3.
Not really. No. Yeah.
So best of 3, we kind of went back and forth. It brought us through a couple matches. I won the first one. You smoked me in the second 2. And then
he's learning.
The format was really cool. Like I was expecting, I don't know why, but in my head for competitive Luminous, I was expecting like garbage lines the same way that Tetris does from the bottom up, but instead it narrows your playing field. So as you get more clears, I have less room horizontally to work with as opposed to vertically. And it changes the dynamic so much where Luminous is a game that's like played in widescreen, which I think is something that's worth noting because there's so much going on in those backgrounds. Tetris is a vertical video game, Right. There's a lot of like void space that was unused a lot of times in Tetris Effect. Whereas in this game, it's very much a widescreen game, and you have so much space. You can go hard left or really hard right, and vertically it's going to be like 20 spaces to work with. When that gets dwindled down to 10 spaces, it gets very stressful very fast.
Yeah, but it in case like someone listening or watching hasn't put the pieces together yet, if you know how the Tetris 99 battle mode works, where like as you are successful, you make the other person's playboard be more difficult. That's like the nut of the game here. Of like when you activate your that power mode and you're clearing the board, the more you clear, then it makes your opponent's board harder to play in, and it's such a fun back and forth. There's that like edge of your seat, like, oh shit, my board is getting smaller, and I see my power bar is almost maxed out. So like if I could just get to the max fast, then I can hopefully overwhelm his board. And it's just this fun back and forth that I do hope that it doesn't get to a point where like what you're experiencing right now with Tetris 99, where the only people we're playing are sweaty at Lumines. That wouldn't be fun, because I'm never going to be the person that can beat that skill level. But for us who are more amateur than not, it was fun to feel pretty even in that skill and go back and forth. And I could see this being a mode that I spend a lot of time in as I get better with the game.
I think every game becomes that eventually, until its servers are knocked offline, unless you're like Knockout City or something where it just doesn't exist after a year. But right. I feel like it's going to be pretty healthy. And I don't know. Tetris Effect is interesting because I think its release cadence made it less successful than it could have been. That's not to say that game isn't successful, because I think it's a massive hit and extremely successful. But it came out and it was like a VR exclusive at first, or it was like console exclusive at first, and then it rolled out to other consoles, and it was originally Tetris Effect and then eventually became Tetris Effect Connected and added on functionality. Whereas Lumines Arise is a fully featured, fully functional, everything that you would expect from like a online multiplayer puzzle game is included in this package on day one on all platforms, and more is included in it, And I could see this being a pretty popular thing. Like I don't know what the post launch like plans are for content, but like they've already proven that they've got like cool stuff going on this time around, with not only like collabs for their own stuff, but also others. I would love to see where they end up going with this game, because like, did you see the deluxe edition stuff that is available?
I didn't know.
It's really cool. So you can play as like the little guy from Rez, or your little dog from Humanity, or
I see that. I'm looking at it right now.
Or you can play as a little Tetris guy. And if you're on PlayStation, Astrobot. If you're on PC, fucking Dave the Diver, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, cool.
I'm not positive if it's Dave the Diver. Double check that for me. But
let's see.
Yeah, I think it's PlayStation only gets the Astrobot one. But that's such a cool little customization. It is Dave the Diver. Cool. That's such a cool little thing. And like, dude, it just has me like in my head. I'm like, I don't know if this is the kind of thing that is a possibility, but like, can we get a couple of those Astrobot songs in Lumines Arise? Like, is there a world where we're talking like DLC for Lumines? Because Lumines, more than Tetris, is about the music. Even though they made Tetris about the music, Lumines, since its introduction, has been about the music. The original Lumines is also about the music. The original Tetris is just about dropping bricks on top of each other and there's no sound at all.
Because wasn't the original one like Lumines Symphony or something like that? Like, wasn't there a symphony in the title? No,
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm making that up.
Maybe. I think it's just Lumines and like Lumines 2.
Lumines Electronic Symphony.
Oh, you
was the Vita version. That was the name of the Vita version.
Got it. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see them do some stuff that like reinvigorates. I don't know. I think DLC in 2025 is really like interesting, and even though it can be looked at negatively because it can cost you extra money and stuff like that, I think that it's also an opportunity to breathe new life and to get people back into the fold on games that they fall off of. And I could see this being a game, because of its like musical background, I guess, something that really benefits from DLC in the future, like an extra track pack with like, 8 new things. Like they're usually sets of 4 that you kind of like operate in, and maybe 4 of them are original like Hydelic things, and then maybe 4 of them are like Hydelic interpretations of songs from other games or something. Could go fucking crazy. That'd be very cool. Yeah.
I was just having a little bit of a debate in our Discord. If you're a Discord user, we have a Drop in Dropout Discord that you can join by going to dropinDropoutPod.com, about DLC in general. And like this frustration, this particular conversation was centered around Pokemon and how the new game, like a month in, they're already doing, it's like a month and a half or less than 2 months, whatever. They're adding DLC. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Short thing, and then I'll continue.
Dude, everyone's acting like this is like the fucking first time anyone's ever done this. Like they didn't have an Assassin's Creed 3 season pass that included the DLC thing for $24.99 in 2011. Like this is a tale as old as time. I don't know why everyone's up in arms about it because it's Pokemon.
Tale as old as time.
Exactly. Look at that pack. Beauty and the Beast, Luminous Arise.
I love that. But so I could see this game being a very good fit for DLC. Essentially what I was saying is I'm just, in a way, I'm kind of tired of DLC, like using like The Witcher as an example. It's like, okay, well, by the time I get around to the DLC, I've not played the game in 6 months, and that game's fucking hard. Like the better example of one that I actually experienced was Tsushima, the Iki Island DLC, by the time that came out. And same thing with the Frozen Wilds for Horizon. It's like, okay, I've not played this game in months, and I don't understand how the battle system works anymore, and I don't want to learn it again.
Yep.
It's just like, but this is not that kind of game, where it's like, I would love for there to be more tracks, more maps, whatever. And like, maybe there's a world in which they go the Guitar Hero route, where like, there's a fucking Hayley Williams pack of like some of her new songs from her record or whatever. Like that would be so fucking cool. I hope that's in the pipeline. It probably isn't, but
yeah, I think that'd be really rad. I think, the DLC conversation is like a whole podcast that I want to have right this moment, but I think there's so much minutia that we can get into it where, do you remember way back in the day when I think it was Street Fighter Cross Tekken? You remember any Street Fighter Cross Tekken controversy?
Yes.
It was the fucking Tale of the On-Disc DLC.
That's right.
They basically just chopped content out of the base game and then put a price tag on it and said to unlock these 4 characters, you need to buy the deluxe.
I forgot about that because I'm not a fighting game guy. That's right.
That was a long time ago. That was again in like those early like 2010s. And we've gotten away from that, but it's hard. It becomes like a thing of like, all right, Pokemon, when did we decide that we were going to take that Pikachu, Raichu content out of the base game and charge it $25 for it? I get that. But yeah, I think a game like this, that's music, just like adding like an extra track pack or something like that goes a really long way. So I hope there is more. That's not to say I think underselling. There's a fucking ton to love in this game.
Oh, for sure.
Ridiculous amount of tracks. It is a game that could have half of its content and still feel fully featured, and it is unbelievable.
And for me, it's the kind of thing where, like, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, this game was provided by Enhance, and thank you to them for the code. But I prefer to play on the PlayStation. I'm gonna go buy this game tomorrow, or whatever day it releases, because I want to play this game in the version I want to be playing it, which is going to be PlayStation. And then also to know that I can get to play as Astrobot or whatever. Like, I mean, easy. But yeah, that I think is another, what am I trying to say? That alone is the review. Like, I'm going to go buy this game, even though I've already been given a code for it, because I fucking love it.
Yeah, it is awesome. It is another win for Enhance, the 4-peat. I fear cannot be stopped. It's a 4-peat. They cannot be stopped. They're all hits, no misses. Go check out Rez, go check out Humanity, go check out Tetris Effect and Luminous, the 2 best puzzle games of all time.
I do need to go check out Humanity. And also, if you're a Luminous dev and you're listening to this and you want to talk to us, we'd love to.
Come on through. What am I forgetting? Do we have anything we actually talked about? Tetris Effect wise, or Luminous Arise wise, or Humanity or Rez? I think that's everything, right?
I think ultimately closing remarks. As we wrap up this podcast, Jake, as you and I are about to go our separate ways. You know, we've been talking about this game now for however long we have. We played it before we went live. We've had this game for a few days. Here we are on Drop In Drop Out Pod, putting together words, stringing together sentences to review this video game, Lumines Arise. And ultimately, what I'm trying to say, Jake, is that this game fucking rips.
Yeah.
Is it going to be in my game of the year list? Maybe in like that low 8 to 10 range, but absolutely everybody should play Lumines Arise. This game is so fun. It's so addictive in that, like, okay, what's the next song going to be? What's the next vibe going to be? What are the next pieces of the puzzle going to be? But I'm having so much fun with it, and I'm so impressed by this team every time they release something different.
For sure. I am in a very similar boat to you. I think that if you like puzzle games, if you like music, if you have two eyes and a heart, I think that you should go and grab Lumines Arise. You won't be disappointed if you're looking for a puzzle game. If you're looking to scratch that itch of Tetris Effect Connected, there is nothing better that you could possibly go and grab. But even if you are unsure about this, if you're looking at the puzzle format and you're apprehensive at all, don't think twice, jump in. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Tough Day to only have one eye, I fear.
Too true. Is it two ears?
Tough Day.
What's the expression?
It can be whatever you want it to be.
Right. You have one penis and a heart.
Man. Tough day for not penis havers.
Right, exactly. So true.
Jake, I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm glad that we now can just go play Lumines Arise together the rest of the night. And you should go play this game if you're listening to this and watching this. And also, Jake, you should go to dropinDropoutPod.com. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Mondays, we got the Jake Games Podcast Video Game Book Club. Tuesdays, we got the Spotlight Games Podcast, where we talk about the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. Virtually every day, we got a stream over on AmazingStreamer.com. We got video essays from Cognitive Clips. We got all sorts of goodies here at Drop In, Drop Out, as well as a bunch of handsome, good-looking people, if I do say so myself. If you're just like looking at good-looking people, you're in the right place. We're here every Thursday on twitch.tv/dropindropoutpod and youtube.com/dropindropoutpod.com. So we will see you next time, and until then, dun, 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 dun.